4 minutes till start of broadcast. This broadcast will begin in 3 minutes. Here's your 2-minute time check. Mark. 'Here comes your 1-minute time check for this Auburn broadcast. Mark. 30 seconds till broadcast. Mark.
'This is the Coach Jay Show. This is the Coach Jay Show. Your all-access pass to Auburn women's basketball with head coach Johnnie Harris. Live from Baumhower's Victory Grill in Auburn. With Coach Jay, here's the voice of Auburn women's basketball, Britt Bowen.
Well, within the blink of an eye, Auburn women's basketball is at the halfway point of the Southeastern Conference season. This past week, the Tigers completed a stretch of 3 games in 7 days. This week, the Tigers enter their second and final bye week of the regular season. Tonight, we'll take a look back at the last 3 games Auburn played. Auburn got a big win over Georgia in that span, and we'll also take a look at what's ahead as Auburn still got a couple home games in SEC play and a road trip to Missouri coming up on Sunday. Tonight we'll take a look back. We'll visit with players, coaches, and more right here on the Coach Jay Show. Hello again, everybody. A War Eagle from Baumhower's Victory Grill out on Bent Creek Road in Auburn. Another great crowd here at Baumhower's tonight, and everybody give a round of applause for our staff working at Baumhower's tonight. They are always awesome taking care of everybody. They've got the best food in the house. And also welcome into our viewers here on Auburn Tigers YouTube page. If you can't make it to Baumhower's every Monday night at 6, that's where you can join us. First up tonight, Auburn women's basketball head coach Johnnie Harris up here on stage with us. Yesterday, Coach Jay got to return home to her state of Arkansas for the second time this year. We'll also break down yesterday's game against Arkansas and Thursday's matchup with South Carolina. And then the Tigers held number 1 ranked South Carolina to their lowest scoring half in SEC play. And then 1 week ago tonight, Auburn got that much-needed home win against Georgia. The common denominator in it all, though, was the outstanding play from Honesty Scott Grayson. We'll get Coach Jay's thoughts and more coming up on the week ahead. Tonight, we also have not 1 but 2 players joining us tonight. First up is the sophomore from Houston, Texas, in Summer Creek High School, Miss Caitlyn Duhan. And then after Kate, we'll have fellow sophomore from Miami, Florida, and DME Academy in Sydney Shaw. We'll take a deeper dive into their career and also how they're helping the Tigers out this season. And then the last segment, Auburn is back in action Sunday at Missouri. Alex Stewart, one of the Tigers' newest assistant coaches. She was on staff the last 2 years, will join us, and then we'll get the rundown from Stu on what the Tigers need to do to be prepared on Sunday. It's a busy night at the Coach Jay Show, and we're glad you could join us here out at Baumhower's Victory Grill. Coach, welcome back. War Eagle.
War Eagle.
Busy day yesterday for you. I know let's start before the game. You had so many family. You and Scotty both had family. Taylor Collins, Muldrow, Oklahoma is only about, 50 miles away from Fayetteville. There was a lot of orange and blue yesterday at Bud Walton Arena, Coach.
It was. It was good to see all the support. I have family there in Fayetteville, but also our families from Little Rock, from Conway, and like you said, her family, Taylor's family from Oklahoma was there. Savannah Carter had some family there. So Auburn was well represented yesterday.
Well, the thing that got me on this trip was we were walking into, I think it was shoot-around yesterday morning, and a lady walks up to you from the Arkansas staff, and a young college student was with her. Find out it was Coach Gary Blair's grandson, who is a student manager, I think, for Arkansas.
Absolutely.
Coach, what was that like seeing him? I know you and Coach Blair, y'all have worked many years together at Texas A&M, and you met his grandson when he was a little boy.
Yeah, I did. I mean, I spent a lot of time with him when he was young. The last time I saw him, though, was in 2012 when, after we won the national championship, we went to the White House, and I remember him as I think he was a 3rd or 4th grader telling President Obama that he had to leave because he had to go back to class, and President Obama writing a note for him to get out of class to his teacher because he was hanging out with him. So it was really good to see him. He's grown up, just a great young man, and he is on their staff as a manager.
Tough one yesterday against the Hogs, 74-72, the final result. Coach, the first half was great, got up 19-6 at the end of one. A couple things that did it for you was paint points early and turnovers. Auburn forced 5 steals in that first quarter. Coach, I thought the start to that game was as good a start Auburn has had in SEC play so far.
It was a really good start, especially defensively. We scored a lot. We created a lot off our defense, and we wanted to do that. We wanted to set the tone. We always want to set the tone with our defense. That's our identity, and get easy looks, easy buckets, and we were able to do that.
I thought Arkansas made a good adjustment defensively, switching to the zone, and that made it a little tougher for Auburn to get inside. What were you seeing from that matchup, Coach?
Yeah, definitely that. I mean, it was tough for us to get inside, and then I felt like we took some quick shots. But once we settled down, I feel like we were okay. You know, we just had to make them work a little bit more and make that zone shift.
Third quarter is when Arkansas really shifted the basketball game, and we've heard all season about Talia Scott. Well, she had missed 6 SEC games, comes back against Alabama, And, of course, she came out ready to go yesterday. 17 of her 31 points came in that quarter. Most of those came from threes. But, Coach, I was thinking back, and I was talking to Wes about this before the show tonight. Most of those three-pointers were contested, and a lot of those three-pointers were step-back followaways. I'm talking 25, 30-plus feet away from the goal. It wasn't like Auburn was in a bad spot defensively. As a coach, I know that doesn't make it easy, but if you could do something different, what would you?
I mean, we'll probably try to trap her earlier and maybe get the ball out of her hands. But, again, she's very clever, and she was feeling it. She was feeling it from deep. It didn't take long for the ball to be in her hands before she was letting it go, and it was a bucket. But that is a special player. That's not something that's coached. That's something that's, she's worked on. And, I listened to her post-game talk, and she said she was feeling it.
Yeah.
And then, a couple of those shots were heat checks. But they went in. But she's just that good.
Well, and that's the thing about the SEC. Every team has one player that if they get theirs, they have the ability to go off. And it's also fun to see coaches of the opposing team recognize that, because just the other night, Dawn Staley was saying the same thing about Honesty Scott Grayson.
Absolutely, and Honesty was special in this game. She carried us offensively in this game as well. I thought Kaitlyn gave us some good looks too. She's down there banging and trying to finish against contact. But Honesty, she's a special player. A lot of the things that she do aren't taught. It's just natural. It's instinctive, and she pretty much carried us on the offensive end.
We'll come back to Honesty in just a minute. I've got a special segment saved just about her. But that fourth quarter yesterday, Auburn was down 14. Game had started to get away a little bit, and your team could have backed down. They could have laid down and said, hey, this one's over, got to get ready for Missouri. Your team didn't do that. You tied the game. You had a chance to tie it and take the lead in the final seconds. Coach, what ended up being the difference in those final 2 or 3 possessions?
I just think missed free throws, missed layups. I thought we got the looks that we wanted to get. I thought we just missed a couple of wide open shots, and those are things that we're going to have to finish. I feel like that we've done that in several ball games now, and those are things that you have to look at yourself and say, hey, I have to finish this shot. I have to get these free throws. We're going to work with them on it. We're going to put them in situations to where they have contested layups, or we'll hit them and they'll get fouled on layups and they have to finish and try to get the and ones. So we'll continue to work with them on that. But I do feel like we got the looks that we wanted. We just have to close that out.
That's what I was about to ask you is, in a game like this, every team just about has one of these a year where free throws aren't falling, and that ends up being the difference in the game. As a coach, though, it's hard to replicate those situations in practice. So I'm just curious. I know everybody's philosophy is different. What's your philosophy in approaching that with the players? Because they know. They take it personal, but it is something that has to be addressed.
We'll assign them time to get extra free throws. Sometime after practice when they're really tired, we'll shoot. And, if you make it, you don't run. If you miss it, the whole team runs. So just putting them in those situations. We call them pressure free throws. But it's just a little bit different when you're tired and it's at the end of a ball game, or, when you have a lot of people there, yelling against you. Even when you're at home, it's pressure. So, we just have to get better at that, and we'll just continue. We'll continue to put them in those situations to where we get better.
Your ball club certainly turned some heads with another good start in a ball game, and this one came against South Carolina last Thursday night. There's no tougher matchup defensively in the country for any team other than South Carolina, because they're averaging 90 points a game. They going into that game, they were the best three-point shooting team. You changed that statistically. And then also, too, with the bigs, with Camila Cardoso inside, she's the best center in the country, in my opinion. That's tough to game plan for, Coach, and your team managed to do that by forcing South Carolina into the lowest scoring half this year, in SEC play. They were also 0 of 8 from three-point land in the first half. Coach, how was Auburn able to disrupt South Carolina in a way that not many teams have been able to do up until this point?
You know, it was our style of play. You know, that's the way we play. We pressure the ball, we deny a pass away, and we had a freshman guarding Cardoso, you know, starting out on Cardoso. So it's two different game plans with two different style of play, but our defense still stepped up and set the tone in that ball game. We needed to hit a few more shots early in the ball game. I feel like that would have gave us a little bit more cushion. Because while we held them to 27 points, we only scored 22. And I felt like we missed some wide open shots. So we just have to be tougher, and all of that in ball games like that. That's about toughness, and it's about experience. And I really feel like our kids are growing. They're being put in these situations, and because they continue to work hard and they're keeping their head up, I feel like it's going to fall into place for them.
Well, you mentioned those freshmen, Savannah Scott and Tamaya Thurman. I didn't think anybody showed more toughness in that game. Maybe honesty, you can put her in the same conversation. But those two freshmen, they had to step in and go up against one All-American and then a couple potential All-Americans later in their career inside. They were not scared. They were not intimidated. I thought they gave it everything they had.
They were not scared. Those kids stepped up, and Tamaya didn't get very many reps in practice, but I had told her that, she needed to know the game plan. She was actually playing as Cardoso on the opposite team, so she probably knew the game plan as well as anybody, even though she didn't get the reps. But I'll tell you what, some of the unsung heroes in that game, like one of them we have here is Duhon. She guarded the point guard. And she, in that first half, that point guard who absolutely run their team was not able to. Now, Duhon don't get a whole lot of, because you don't see that on the stat sheet. But that's as important as anything else that happens in a ball game, because that's the person that set the tone.
Well, that's on the stat sheet this year. We've talked a lot about honesty. We've talked a lot about Taylor in some games. We've talked Mingo. We've talked Savannah in some games. There are three players, though, that I think have a great impact. It's not always on the stat sheet. It is Caitlyn Duhan, it's Celia Sambani, and it's also Marshawn Bostic. With their defensive tenacity, Coach, that's the core of your defense right there. When you need to stop, usually it's one of those three getting the job done for you.
It is one of those three, and I'll tell you what, last night it was Sydney Shaw. I'm going to tell you. Sydney Shaw is not known for her defense, but she had to face guard Talia Scott in the fourth quarter, and she made it really, really hard for her. I was as proud of her as anybody, for being able to step up and do that, because Sydney is a shooter, and if her shot's not falling, she is not very happy, and it's hard to keep her on the floor. But last night it was hard to take her off the floor.
That's a good problem to have.
That is, and I think she's a competitor and she want to play. So that's what we needed. We still had Duhon guarding their best guard, but I looked up and I'm like, Lord have mercy, I still have Sydney in here on the fourth quarter, and we're trying to stop Talia, and I need Sydney guarding the ball. Well, so that was really big for her.
I'll go ahead and ask it now. My last question for you before I let you go tonight was going to be thoughts on Caitlyn Duhan and Sydney Shaw, because they're joining us on the show tonight after you, Coach. How have both of those kids just stepped up their role this year and made an impact on your program?
They're figuring out what we need, and that's what they're giving us. While Kaitlyn is still working on her shot, and some days it's falling, some days it's not.
And I was about to say, it's gotten better.
But what I can depend on her is she's going to get out there and guard, and she's tough, she's aggressive, and she's going to guard you. You don't want a piece of Kaitlyn out there. And Sydney is learning that defense is important, and she is accepting that. She gets in the gym and she works on it on her own. She'll call one of our coaches, and that just let me know that, she want to play. She want to be a part of not just saying Sydney is a shooter or a scorer. She want to be a well-rounded player, which is really important for her, and that's the next step in her progress.
Your ball club got a big win 1 week ago tonight. Auburn beat Georgia 67-49 last Monday night in SEC play. It was the first SEC win where Auburn never trailed since 2020. It was also the largest margin of victory in an SEC game, Coach, since 2019. Three things did it for you. Forced turnovers, outscored Georgia in the paint with 30-16, and then you out-rebounded a very good rebounding team in Georgia. That's a winning recipe for you right there.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought our kids came in, and again, our defense set the tone. You know, that's just who we are. So every night, we need our defense to step up and set the tone. What we're having to work on is those third quarter lulls.
Yeah.
But I just thought we were really tough. We were physical. And like I said, we went out and set the tone. I knew they were going to come out and guard us in zone. We were able to dissect that zone. We were able to get the ball up the court. We got stops and were able to get the ball up the court and, score easy in transition.
I went back and read Dawn Staley's quotes from her press conference after the Auburn-South Carolina game, Coach. Coach Staley, all the respect in the world for it, does not just say those things to be nice. I thought Auburn earned their respect. This program is earning other teams' respect. How do you take that as a head coach in year 3 and what you're trying to build?
It is, it's good that other people see that and feel that, but it just makes you want to go even harder and continue to do what you're doing. We're on the right path. We just got to continue to work harder. I feel like I'm in a similar situation that we were in year 3 at Mississippi State when we turned that program around, which was very similar when I took it over to this one. So I feel like we're on the right path. We just got to keep building it brick by brick.
Honesty Scott Grayson averaging 20 points a game in SEC play. 21 points against Georgia, tied a career-high 31 points against South Carolina, and dropped 27 yesterday at Arkansas. Coach, you don't just do that day in and day out. Honesty is doing this consistently. This is a weekly trend. Why is this not surprising anymore?
Honesty was on this track last year before she got hurt. Before she went home for Christmas and got hurt, she was a scoring machine. I mean, she was putting up big numbers. I just think she's finally getting healthy. She's stepping up. She's not afraid to have the ball in the big moments. She wants that. She's very unselfish. She said after that game, that 31-point game, she said, I would give all these points back for a win. And I absolutely believe that because she is a team player. But that kid is just special. She, like I said, it's all about, with her, it's about putting her in a position to do what she does best. And she does a lot of things really, really well. And so, that's just a blessing to have. And I hope Auburn fans appreciate that because she didn't have to be back here. She could have been in the WNBA right now, but she wanted to come back and help us build this program. And so I feel like she's doing everything she can to make that happen.
Final bye week coming up on Thursday. How do you spend the week to get ready for this final stretch? Because, again, I know yesterday was disappointing, but the goal is still right in front of you for the taking, Coach.
Absolutely. We took today off, and, I went in the training room, and there were a lot of players coming in the training room, getting treatments, trying to get healthy. There was also some in the gym when I passed by. But they, just wanted to get some healthy and get them some rest, and then, have them be prepared for the rest of this tough season. And then we'll come back tomorrow, and we'll have a practice tomorrow and Wednesday. We'll take Thursday off again. And then we'll go back and prepare on Friday and Saturday for the ball game on Sunday.
A lot of questions from me. We've got a lot of Auburn fans here tonight supporting the program that are ready to ask you a couple questions here at Baumhower's. We have Wes Todd, our on-site producer. He's here to open up the questions from the crowd. Wesley, take it away.
If you got a question for Coach Jay, raise your hand. We'll bring you the mic.
Anybody got a good question for Coach Jay? Well, Coach, while fans are thinking of questions, I know a couple's got some food. Tell me this about Honesty and her teammates. Honesty's always saying everybody on their team can get theirs. But Honesty, she's not trying to take that take opportunities away from others. Her teammates want her to have the ball, and at the same time, Honesty's trying to distribute it when she can.
Yeah, and sometimes she's distributing it a little bit too much, Everybody have an opportunity. Our offense is wide open, so there's opportunities for everybody, but there's times when we're running something for Honesty.
Yeah.
I want her to take that shot. There's sometimes, I'm running something for somebody else, and, that's their time. And sometimes when you're hot, I may keep going to you. I may go away, but then I'm coming right back. So, Honesty, like you said, she's very unselfish, and she loves her team. She loves her teammates. So, she's just doing everything she can to help us win.
Wes, who we got in the crowd tonight?
Well, we got Herb.
What we got, Herb?
In your halftime talks, do you try to mix up and do different things, or if it's the same thing every game, it's not working? But what I really want, I think you sort of touched on it, is shooting. Sometimes it seems like we're reluctant and maybe we're looking for somebody and they're open, and we hold it for a couple of seconds and try to force a pass. So is that something that just comes with maturity to get rid of that, or what?
I think it's definitely something that comes with maturity. We get them the ball in their situation. Their shots in their spots. We expect them to take their shots, and we have been passing up shots. So, that's not something that we're telling them to do. We don't tell them we don't tell them to not shoot the ball. We want them to shoot the ball in those situations, because sometimes when you pass up a shot, it leads to a turnover or a shot clock, or now we have to force a shot. So that's something that I really do believe will come with maturity and with confidence. When you've been missing shots, then sometimes you'll pass up a shot, and it's at an unfortunate time. Definitely not saying the same thing, and actually we did something different yesterday. I had our defensive coach to start the halftime talk. Normally I do that. So, just trying to find I don't know that they come out and try to not be prepared. And I'm not saying all the time we coming out unprepared. I just think, a couple of those shots, like yesterday, they took those shots in the first half and they missed them. And then, and they took a lot of them and they missed them. Eventually those shots are going to fall. And I told them that. So I just think, we just got to grow up and we just got to be better.
Wes, one more?
One more.
Okay, so in general, I don't really care what people that aren't Auburn people say about us, but I was proud of what Don Stanley said about you and our team.
Thank you.
And I think it's well deserved. They are,
Thank you. Don is real respected, and I'm gonna tell you, she don't give out compliments if she don't really mean it. I actually sent her a text and told her thank you, because the media were all over it, and I told her when I went in the media room, they were talking about the compliments, and she said I meant every word of it, and she said your defense is tenacious. So that is really a compliment.
Well, Coach Jay, thanks so much for tonight. And this is going to be your only segment tonight. Going to let you get some rest, go eat some food. What you ordering tonight?
I'm not sure yet.
Not sure yet? All right, let me know, because I may need to try something new afterwards. Everybody give it up one more time for Coach Jay here on the Coach Jay Show. We're out of Baumhower's Victory Grill. Coach War Eagle, thanks for joining us. Tigers head coach Johnnie Harris here on the Coach Jay Show. Come out and join us at Baumhower's every Monday night at 6 here in the month of February. We've still got 3 more guests tonight. The next one up is Tiger sophomore from Houston, Texas, Miss Caitlyn Duhan, joining us here on the Coach Jay Show. I was looking back last year trying to check and see if we had interviewed Kate before. We've interviewed Sydney. We have not interviewed Kate. So we get Miss Caitlyn Duhan for the very first time tonight on the Coach Jay Show. I've been looking forward to this all day, and as soon as she puts the headset on, you'll learn why. Kate, War Eagle, first and foremost, I'm sorry I did not tag you on Twitter tonight. I didn't realize, Kate, you had a Twitter account, so I am now an official follower.
Hey, I didn't know everybody knew that I didn't have one.
Warrior Kate, how are you?
Good, and you?
I'm doing awesome. So tell us, where are you from? What made you choose Auburn?
I'm from Houston, Texas. I really enjoyed the family environment and how close the team was when I first met Coach Jay and all the staff and everything. And so they really made me feel welcome.
What exactly on that staff sold you about Auburn? Who's your main recruiter?
My main recruit was Coach D.
Coach D. All right, you and Coach D. And then she's from Texas too, right? Yeah. So y'all had that Texas connection. What's it like with her though in practice every day? That relationship and her challenging to get you better.
I'm always just talking to her, asking her questions about what I can do at certain spots, how my defense could be better, or just giving me little suggestions on what to do and what to critique.
Your coach just said just how tenacious you and Sydney are on defense. I put on my sheet, my description for you is you are a menace on defense. I mean that as a compliment, by the way. Where does that come from with you from within, and when did that start in your basketball career?
It started probably like high school. My coach in high school was always having me guard like the best player. And everybody was out here like, oh my gosh, you're going to get dropped. And I was like, I'm not feeling like that happened to me. So I've always like guarded the ball. I've always made it hard for anybody that I'm playing against just to score in general.
You take pride in that, don't you?
Definitely.
And I can see it in you too. I can see it in the way you play because your role on this team is so vital because in basketball, obviously it's a sport where obviously everybody that scores the points or scoring points is always the top stat. But working with Coach Jay, she's taught me what taking away possessions, how meaningful it is, how valuable it is in the basketball game. Where does your understanding of defense align with Coach Jay's style of defense, and what made you two mesh so well together here at Auburn?
I mean, she's always talking about defense creates our offense, and defense is like one of the most important part of our game. And I love playing defense. Like, I have no problem guarding anybody. I have no problem playing in any position to guard the best player, the best shooter, anyone.
Well, you play the 3 and the 4 for Auburn this year. Is there another position that I'm missing? Okay, just making sure because I've been known to do that from time to time. What's your favorite position? What's your natural position of the two?
I don't mind either. I'm a lot more comfortable with the 4 though, because I can drive and attack, stay around in the paint, just linger around right there. That
little floater you have in the paint is always one of my favorite. I've got we cut highlights for you all at the start of the game. You know, y'all introduce yourselves. There's a call, and I don't remember what game it is, of you scoring a floater. It's one of my favorite highlights of the year. But speaking of you inside, you know, talking about you guarding the best players. You've had the guard for Kia Jackson before. She's really tall, and she's the first one that comes to mind. But the size advantage for you and the other players in the SEC, that never gets in your way. How do you adjust to different size advantages that other players may have against you in your defense?
I mean, most of the players that are usually taller than me, they're not going to linger outside like the three-point line or like anywhere around like that areas. They're mostly like going to be in the paint or ringing around the elbows and stuff like that. So I try and like keep them at a distance, keep them out there outside of the usual spots they like to shoot at. Make it hard for them.
Your offense has certainly been on fire the last couple games. You've had 8 or more in 5 of the last 6. That means a lot. And also look at 5 of the last 6, how many games Auburn has won. Where's your offense? How's it improved this year for you?
I don't try to like do too much outside of my box. I know what I can do. I know what I can't do. I settle for my mid-range, keep drive, you know, just the simple stuff.
I know Coach Jay the other week at Coach Jay's chat room. Hey, Coach Jay, she was picking on you a little bit about that jump shot. But that jump shot, Kate, I see the confidence in it. I've seen you improve. And I know Coach Jay is giving you confidence in that jump shot. How have you been working on that continuously even throughout the season here?
Just getting in the gym, focus on those main shots I might get in the game because I know nobody's going to guard me outside the three-point line. So making sure that I have that shot and that knowing that I can knock that down.
In developing a jump shot at the 4, how important is it in today's women's basketball? Because back in 10, 15 years ago, the 4 really wasn't expected to have an outside shot. Now they are. How important is it for you personally to have that?
It's just as important as like everybody making threes, everybody making layups. You know, everybody can do anything out there, but it's some of the shots that are just mainly important for the game.
Your role on the team, you've been in the starting lineup. You can come off the bench. It does not affect you one way or the other. What do you see your role on the team is and how you best impact the team game to game?
I bring energy. I bring energy from the jump. I bring energy off the bench. It doesn't bother me wherever I'm at. I just know I'm going to get at it because I want to win, and we want to win. So.
Well, Coach Jay this year from the get-go has talked a lot about team chemistry. When I see you all on the court, but also traveling, I get to see you all on the bus, at restaurants, in the hotel. Kate, everybody is always lingering around you, always lingering around Kaitlyn. And you all as a group, that's contagious. How much fun do you have with your teammate in the chemistry this year, and how it's helping you all succeed?
We've meshed very well together. Everybody has like similar personalities, so everybody's pretty much cool with each other, hanging out with each other. So we all just one big group. It's like one big family.
How's the team this year, though, attacking the team goals off the floor together in terms of how you're keeping each other up and just what the mentality is day to day?
Criticism. So I know it's not something that everybody can take lightly, but we're doing our best to communicate what we need to do best for each other and what we need to get, how to get those wins. And criticism is one of those big things that we're big on.
You're a sophomore at Auburn. What's your major?
Psychology.
Psychology. What do you hope to do one day?
I want to be a child psychiatrist or probably like drugs.
That's awesome. That's so awesome. A chance to give back. And the last question of the night for you is, what is your favorite candy? For those that don't know, Kate always has some candy, always has something. And if I ever need something on a trip, Kate is usually the person I'm going to look to and ask for. So I got to ask, what is your favorite candy, and why? Will we try something different on the next road trip in Missouri?
It's probably High Chews or Lifesavers.
Okay.
Or I'm always just eating something. That's one thing I've always gotten a comment on. It's like every time I see you, you're always eating.
Well, a little piece of advice, because I heard you in the hotel in Nashville. Don't buy hotel candy, because there's always an upcharge on hotel candy. So you gotta do the Buc-ee's stop or the C-store stop on campus. You gotta pack beforehand and come prepared.
Yeah, I realize that, because $5 for Skittles is crazy.
Okay, thank you so much. Everybody give a round of applause for Caitlyn Duhan, Tigers sophomore forward. Caitlyn, looking forward to having you back on. War Eagle.
War Eagle, thank you.
Tigers, Caitlyn Duhan here on the Coach Jay Show. Up next for the Tigers is another player. We got another sophomore in Sydney Shaw joining us here on the Coach Jay Show tonight. This is not Sydney's first time on the Coach Jay Show. We had Sydney on last year as well. So, Sid, she's a veteran this year now as a sophomore. Sid, welcome on to the show. What was for dinner tonight? Have you ordered yet?
Yeah, I don't even remember. I think it was chicken and waffles, and then I got a side of egg and rice.
Egg and rice. All right, you got it going. All right, so same question to start. Where are you from, and what made you choose Auburn when you had the choice back in high school?
I'm from Miami, Florida, and back when I was making my choices, I was going through something with my high school coach, who was, they have a lot of power in recruiting.
Yeah.
So if you want to transfer or something like that, my coach took it real personal, and he tried to, affect my process. And I appreciated Auburn a lot because they wasn't listening to none of the outside noise, and they took me for who I was as a person. I really appreciated it, and they cared about who I was as a player, and it just felt like family. So that's what really made me make my decision.
Year one to year two, freshman to sophomore year, what do you like about Auburn, or what do you appreciate about Auburn so much in your second year that maybe you didn't know so much about in your freshman year?
I think I've taken a lot more time to reach out to the community around me this year.
Yeah.
I think, of course, it's always basketball, but I've actually taken time to speak to my classmates, speak to other sports, and I just really appreciate the community we have built around us. So.
Well, one thing about the community and these lovely people here in the crowd tonight, people here at Baumhower's, is a place like Auburn. If you love Auburn, Sid, Auburn is a place that will love you back. Is that something that you felt in your time at Auburn?
That's definitely very true. Everybody, they don't even got to know where you're from, got to know your family, nothing like that, but they're going to embrace you with open arms, so I always appreciate it.
All right. The one question I've been wanting to ask you all year, but I was going to wait till I had you on the air. I've got you on the air tonight. Number changed from 10 to 5, freshman to sophomore year. You were 10 last year, 5 this year. Why the change?
I didn't want to be 10 in the first place. Ish had 10.
It was already taken.
Ish had 5.
Yeah.
And, Ish was Ish, so I wasn't going to do your thing. But, she had got up out of here, so I went and jumped on the number. That's the number I've been since 6th grade, travel ball, so that's the number I really wanted.
role as a sophomore this year a little bit different than your role last year as a freshman, primarily because Jemiah Mingo-Young is on the team and also Marshawn Bostic not having to play as much point guard as you did your freshman year. How has that role been different for you and a chance to establish you more so on the wing as a shooting guard?
I appreciated it a lot. I didn't want to play point guard, but I knew that's what the team last year needed, so that's what I did, and that's what I worked at. But I appreciate being able to play the two and develop myself as a two this year.
Well, and the good news for you, though, and I know we talked a little about it last year, even when you, Honesty, Mingo are on the floor, even Marshawn, you got 3 or 4 different options of players that can play the point guard. Like even because I watch you sometimes in games, you still lead some sets for your team on offense. How good is it to have that versatility to be able to do that when you're coaching your team needs you?
It's very, very – you could appreciate it in the game when you have 3-4 point guard minds going at the same time. You know, you see things and, you know, I know the person across the court sees the same thing that I do. So it's really cool experience. 14
starts this year, 8 games off the bench. You've had impacts in both roles this year. How do you manage that just game to game in terms of just being ready and being ready to serve your team just as your coach needs you?
I mean, you said it yourself. Not every game is going to be a breakout game.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes they might just need me to come off the bench and shoot. So I just got to be prepared to give the team what they need that game. So game by game.
Well, for you, I've really enjoyed watching you the last couple of weeks in terms of you were always the first player out in shoot-around. It's either you or Mingo to get those shots up. Where does your pregame routine come from, and how important is that just in getting you ready to play a full game of 40 minutes?
I'm out there so early because I don't want there to be a shot that I take in the game that I already didn't take.
Sure.
I want to know that when it comes off my fingers, it's going in. And when I miss, I knew that I was going to miss by the time it came off my fingers. So just knowing what my make is, you know, getting my feel for the ball is just really important for me.
Well, and for you, I know Coach Jay touched on it a little bit, and I know you feel this way. As a shooter, it's always hard not to let misses affect you mentally. I know that's something you work on and you get better at every single week. How do you balance that as well as a shooter? Because you're one that, hey, you got to take those shots even when they're not falling. As Coach Jay always says, those shots are going to fall.
That's a good question. I think I've done a lot better this year. Like, I know I'm going to miss. You know, everybody misses.
Every shooter does, yeah.
But I think I've done a lot better with not letting it affect me. Like, you know, I'm very animated when it comes to me missing, but at the same time, like, my mindset has gone from, like, feeling sorry for myself to get it back on D or, you know, it's going to fall. Like, I don't really get down on myself like that, so.
Auburn doesn't get back in the game yesterday without your defense, and it was awesome to hear Coach Jay recognize that. For you, your defense has gotten better. Is that something you've been working on in your game to try to improve, to try to contribute more?
I knew from last year, you know, I sat down with Coach Jay, and I basically asked what she needed from me, and defense was a really big thing. So I prioritized in the summer getting in there and, you know, guarding the ball and just being, you know, a presence on defense instead of being a target.
Goal for the rest of the season in terms of what you want to accomplish individually, because sitting your role with your talent, that shot and your skill set, you can change a game within the blink of an eye.
I think a big goal is just to be more confident in myself, in my shots. I know I'm not going to make every single one, but like you said, there are shots that I do need to take. And I've hesitated a lot this year. And I think that a really big goal would be to take off the hesitation and just shoot like the way I know I can.
Sid, I'll leave you with this. You all have had some big wins this year in particular, Alabama, LSU. What's been your favorite Auburn women's basketball memory? And it can be in your 2 years here so far.
I really want to put the LSU one up there, so I'll put the LSU second, because even from, like, winning the game was great, but the way we prepared for that game and the way, like, going into the game, we were all just together. Like, there's no way that game wasn't going to go our way no matter how close it got. But definitely the Ole Miss win.
Yeah, Ole Miss last year.
Yeah, that was a really great feeling.
What do you remember about that game?
I remember when the buzzer went off and everybody jumped out of their seat.
That was a feeling unlike any other. And here's the thing. You still have a couple big opportunities at home. Auburn's got some road opportunities. I know that's when Auburn's got to get over the hump. and get one, Sid. I know you're going to do it. What's it going to take from you all to get that done next week in Missouri?
We're not putting this one in the refs' hands. We got to make our free throws. We got to do what we can on our end because, if we execute what we need to execute, there's no way that the refs can bring them back in the game. And I hate to put it on the refs, but we don't want to be in that situation in the first place where a call can have the game go either way. So just taking care of business and staying competitive in the third quarter.
Sid, I appreciate you. I appreciate you and Kaitlyn for taking time tonight, and appreciate your contributions for Auburn women's basketball. Wish you all the best the rest of the season. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me. War Eagle.
Tigers guard Sydney Shaw in her sophomore season joining us tonight on the Coach J Show. We've had two great interviews with Caitlyn Duhan, Sydney Shaw, and also the head coach, Johnnie Harris. Now for our final guest of the night, we have one of the newest Tigers assistants, Miss Alex Stewart, joining us here on the Coach J Show out here at Baumhower's Victory Grill. Remember, it's every Monday night at 6 o'clock at Baumhower's in the month of February. We'll be here from 6 to 7. There's great food here at Baumhower's. This menu has everything, not to mention the wait staff here is the best in Auburn, Opelika. Now joining us up here on stage is Tigers assistant Alex Stewart. Alex, welcome on. War Eagle. No, you had to finish the meal over there. That's why I put you last, Studo. Make sure you could get the meal in and be ready to go. How you doing tonight?
War Eagle.
War
Thank
Eagle.
You, Britt.
All right, Stu. Let's get back to step one. Where's home? Where are you from, Stu?
Oh man, originally from Atlanta, Georgia, Norcross.
Norcross, Georgia. And you played at Georgia Tech.
Played at Georgia Tech back in the day, a few years ago.
What was that like, Stu? Playing at Georgia Tech, playing at home in Atlanta.
That Georgia Tech, that was a great situation for me. It was a great opportunity playing in the ACC, having to deal with Duke, Carolina. That was a little bit before Miami, Virginia Tech, and some of those at Boston College got into the league. But it was good. I played at home.
Yeah.
I have 4 other siblings. My mom has 2. I have 2 younger ones.
Yeah.
So, and they were also playing basketball. So I wanted to stay close. So my mom had the opportunity to see both of us during our, high school for them and college for me.
Well, and Coach Jay and this staff, you were a part of this. We were able to schedule a home-and-home with Georgia Tech last year and the year before, Coach Jay's first year. Auburn got a huge top 25 win over, by the way, former Auburn head coach Nell Fortner, who's leading that program.
Right.
Coach, that is a series that Auburn fans love and Georgia Tech fans love regardless of sport. Is that one hopefully we could look forward to again one day?
Yeah, I definitely think so. Once again, they're close, right up the road, and 2 tough conferences, ACC and SEC, and I think we actually kind of have an opportunity to play them, sporadically due to the ACC-SEC challenge that we've signed on. But that's definitely a possibility.
Well, I'm going to hit you with a hard-hitting question as a start. Tell everyone who Apollo is and what Apollo is doing tonight.
Apollo is my 7-year-old boxer, my best friend, my broke best friend is what we say, right? And it's
3 hots and a cot, right?
It's tax season, right? I feel like we should be able to. He's a dependent. He depends on me. So I need money back. I am a single woman. It is hard out here. I have to feed him. We just went to the vet. We got a teeth cleaning. I mean, now we stay up to date on all of our shots and everything.
Look,
so it's just getting expensive. But I love my baby.
I'd like a word with Charles Barkley Bowen back home, too, because believe me, I'm in the same boat. This year you were in a different role than kind of what you've been. It's kind of a blend, if you will. You were director of basketball operations in your first 2 years at Auburn. Thanks to the rule changes in the NCAA, you were one of 2 coaches, along with Savannah Carter, who was able to get a title change. You are now an assistant coach for Auburn women's basketball. Stu, what's that role been like for you this year?
Oh, man, it's been good. It's been great, right? You guys might not know this, but before I came to Auburn, I was an assistant coach.
Sure.
But the opportunity came about to join coach's staff, and I, of course, jumped on it, without hesitation. So being back kind of in this coach's role it's been great. I love the scouting aspect of it. I love being on the floor with the girls. I used to just kind of yell it from the sidelines. But now I can actually be standing up in practice, in drills, trying to help coach and assist. So it's been great.
That's what I wanted to ask you about was your role in scouting and getting back into scouting after having 2 years of being a director of ops. And how much you're enjoying that and your role at practice every day.
Oh yeah, absolutely. So the scouting part, it's a little different. You know, technology, of course, it jumps so fast.
Yeah.
2 years. It's only been 2 years. But technology. But I have DQ, our grad assistant. He helps a lot, of course, as well as the other coaches, to kind of give me reminders and tips and everything. So that's been great. I think being on the floor, that's kind of. It's like riding a bike. You never really forget once you know. So, but it's been good. And just, being out there trying to be, a little bit more mobile.
Next game, when you're listening to me on the Auburn broadcast on Sunday, but you have it synced up watching the game on TV Sunday, I want everybody to pay attention to Alex on the bench, because if you watch Alex, she is always talking to the players, always talking to the coaches. There's so much communication there, Stu. And not to mention, you bring the energy. You bring that positive energy for every single person on the bench. How do you embrace that role, and where does that communication, that knack of communication come from?
That I just talk a lot?
That's a good thing, though. You got to have communication.
For sure, and that's the point guard in me, right? That's my 4 or 5 years that I spent at Georgia Tech, as the point guard in the ACC. So to me, there's no such thing as too much communication, right? And so I try to bring that where I can during the game, in between timeouts, whatever, I think my main focus, of course, is making sure Coach has all the information that she needs, because she has 15,000 different things running through her head. And so just kind of some of the pertinent information here and there, just to kind of make her job a little bit easier. And then just once again, that point guard mentality and love that I have, trying to be positive with the girls, with the ladies, that, haven't been in their exact situation, but I've been in some situations as well, so I can know what it's like and try to hopefully give a little bit of some wisdom. And
I love watching you at practice on the bus, Stu, because you're almost like that mother figure role, or that aunt role, that more mature figure who the girls can look up to. How do you embrace the mentorship role, and how much do you enjoy that part of the job?
Oh, I enjoy it. I know I get on the girls' nerves sometimes because I am a stickler. I am, trying to make sure that they are on top of things, and I don't have any problem with accepting that role. But I will say, I kind of was that as well in my assistant coach's position as I got older and some of my other stops. And I've had student athletes, former student athletes come back and just kind of remind me of how important that was to them and how that did help steer them in the right direction. So these youngsters might not recognize it right this day, but, they will. They will.
Got the scout for Mizzou on Sunday. The Tigers are 11-11 and 2-7 in the SEC. Auburn has a chance to watch them on Thursday night against South Carolina. Coach, what do Tiger fans need to know about this team other than they average 73 points and they give up 69?
Yeah, they're a very good three-point shooting team. They like to run in transition. They like to get their threes in transition. I think where, we can kind of take advantage is on the boards. I think we'll have an opportunity to get on the boards a little bit more. But I do think that, we're going to have our hands full, but we're going to be well prepared. We're going to be, ready to rock and roll. And we're going to have to be able to defend that three. And we're going to have to be able to, but at the same time, they're going to have to defend us as we get downhill and get the ball down into, because one thing that we focus on is paint points, whether that's from the post players or the guards. So they're going to have to defend that.
Well, and thinking back just in this coaching staff's tenure and in this team here at Auburn, the last two games with Missouri have been battles, and Auburn was right there in both of them. Those are two games that still go back and frustrate me, and one of those reasons is they're a good shooting team. This year, the third best shooting team in the SEC in terms of percentage. Haley Frank has a lot to do with that. She's averaging 17 a game. Coach, tell us a little bit about Haley and just the type of player she is.
Man, she is a tough-nosed kid. Tough-nosed player. Able, to score. She can knock down the three, but she can put her back to the basket. Yeah. She's very savvy, able to score. I wouldn't say necessarily scoring in all three phases of the game, but she's so crafty and is just very efficient in putting the ball in the hole. And there's just not too much you can do about some of that. And then, of course, on the defensive end, she's fairly scrappy, but takes a lot of charges. So we've got to make sure that we're under control when we get into that paint, jump stop, make the right decision, and not just give easy, turnovers and fouls on ourselves by running into her.
Well, and Mama Dembele, she's one that has a lot to do with it because, yes, she averages 9 a game, not quite as much as their top 3 scorers, but she's second in the league in steals per game, and also she leads the SEC in assists,
yeah.
6 a game. So that's a lot to plan for, Coach.
Absolutely, absolutely. And she does a great job getting downhill.
Yeah.
She's tough in transition. She's going to get an outlet pass, and she's putting the pressure on you right away.
Yeah.
And what Missouri likes to run, they like to run out to the three-point line. So we got to make sure when we get back, we've got to get the ball stopped. But we can't stop in the paint. We need to crowd that three-point line and be able to be ready to guard that and run them off of that three-point line.
4 of the last 7 games are on the road for your Tiger Ball Club. What would getting a win on Sunday at Mizzou do for you? Because this is one, if you get it, Coach, it could set you up in a string of 3 or 4 wins here.
Absolutely. I think, and Coach says it every day to the girls, to the team, to the staff, that, we're getting better every single day, and we are as good as we think we are. You know what I mean? Yes, we have work to do, right? But I think just a win on the road would kind of give you that little fresh breath and like, all right, we can do this. We can play. We're capable of playing great basketball anywhere. And when we put our best foot forward, it could be special. So I just think it would be just kind of getting that monkey off your back and just being like, all right, here we go. We can win on the road. We can win at home. And Neville, let's take this. Let's go the rest of the way. And you're right. We get Mizzou at Mizzou, and then we have Kentucky, and it can kind of snowball as we head into, Bama. We got to go up to Tuscaloosa. I know I'm going to see everybody here on the fan bus.
We got a fan bus going from Auburn to Tuscaloosa.
That's
what, 1 week from Sunday, right? 1 week from Sunday?
Absolutely.
Yep.
The 18th, we'll load up the bus and head on up. I think we're departing at about 10 a.m. It's $52 per person. That covers the ride. And that covers your ticket. Yeah.
$52 is a tank of gas. That's riding. That's cheaper than driving yourself.
And you don't even have to drive. Just put your feet up.
Man.
Just put your feet up.
All right.
But the deadline for that is February 12th, I believe we've set. So, but we've got a good little crowd so far. I think we've got enough for 1 bus. And it'd be really exciting if we can get a second bus. I tell you that. It'd be exciting if we can get a second one.
Alex Stewart, this was incredible. We need you more. Listen, the seat is always open. Anytime you want to hop on a headset game, you want to be a co-host of the Coach J Show,
I can't wait.
I got a 3rd headset.
I'm ready. Say less. Listen. I'm ready. Look, I don't have a problem wearing multiple hats.
Alex, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Glad you're at Auburn. Wish you the best.
Too.
War
Absolute.
Eagle.
War Eagle.
Tigers assistant coach Alex Stewart wrapping up our show tonight here on the Coach J Show out at Baumhower's. Our next broadcast is Sunday, February 11th at Missouri. It'll be a 12:45 Central 12:45 Central airtime. Tip-off is 1 o'clock Central on AU 100 and online at auburntigers.com and the Auburn Tigers app. 1 week from tonight, the Coach J Show returns to Baumhower's Victory Grill at 6. If you can't join us at Baumhower's, tune in right here on the Auburn Tigers YouTube page. For Coach J, Caitlyn Duhan, Sydney Shaw, Alex Stewart, and Wes Todd, I'm Britt Bowen. Good night and War Eagle from Baumhower's Victory Grill. Hey, everybody, real quick, we have a couple trivia questions for you. If anybody's interested in some trivia giveaways, everybody ready for some trivia? Everybody good? All right. We have some good gear.